everybody. Welcome back to Rooted and Rising. If you haven't listened to my first podcast, I would highly recommend that. If you have listened to my first podcast, welcome back. So glad that you are here. Without you, I would not have a podcast. So thank you. I want to have a quick recap for the last thing that we talked about. Finding strength in hardship and trusting the process. We all walk through hardship, and we don't all trust the process, right? And a lot of times, none of us trust the process until we do trust the process. And really, it's kind of like finding strength in where you are. If you don't or haven't trusted the process, it's time to try to figure that part out so that you can rise and learn through the fire. The fire will keep burning you over and over again if you're finding yourself in a place of hardship without trusting the process, without understanding that we are here for a bigger picture. So welcome back. My name is Melanie. For those of you that don't know me, I am the host here. I will be talking today about turning cycles into breakthroughs, seeing what we couldn't see before. So this episode will build on the last episode, and that's going to be kind of the theme of building from one episode to the next. So that's why I say, please go back and listen to the first one if you haven't, and then listen to this one. I think it will make you more aware of what we talk about here. We are offering listeners tools for recognizing when a painful cycle is actually preparing them for release today. I have... for those of you that don't know me, I have been the girl who has been through a lot of trauma. I know that I'm not alone, which is why I'm having this podcast. My goal here is to help those who are going through the fire, who feel alone. I'm here to, be a voice of guidance, of wisdom, of understanding through hardship. Through learning, through failing, through rising. I feel like this life, we are constantly in a place of hills and valleys. Sometimes those hills are great, and then you get to the valley, and then you're like, okay, well, how did I get here? But isn't that the journey of life? I feel like the journey of life is continuous. I feel like the journey of life can be great, but I also think the power of your mind plays a huge role in how you look at life, how you feel while you're in your life, how your life procreates because of your thoughts. So it's really important to heal from the inside so that it reflects on the outside. It's really important to recognize that not every part of life is easy, and if it were, we would never grow. So looking at these opportunities as what's happening for me versus what's happening to me is the first step in turning your thought process in a positive way. If you think about every step in life and every step we take in every situation, whether it be an issue with your husband, an issue with your boyfriend, an issue with your parents, an issue with your siblings, there's always someone that you work with. It's how we approach that issue. If we look at ourselves like the person's behavior is a reflection of us, then we're never really going to recognize that the behavior of that person should have no impact on us if we recognize that it's the behavior of the person, not a reflection of who we are. So getting defensive, ready to pull out your armor when someone doesn't understand you, being ready to go into fight or flight Fight or flight comes from trauma from when we're young that hasn't been resolved. We are here together to work through unresolved trauma, to give positive outlooks, to give positive impacts in steps forward, and being able to recognize where you're falling short and why you're falling short and how you can stop falling short by A, B, and C, right? So we are all here. We have all been broken. We have all been put back together. We've all got cracks and glue and all of those things. None of us look the same way that we did when we were born. And I'm not talking physically, I'm talking emotionally, right? Like we come out of the womb and we're whole. And we leave this earth all patched back up. And that's just a part of our journey. Those cracks on each of our vases, our bodies, our souls, our minds are caused from the trauma that we've experienced. But without that trauma, there's no growth. And without growth, we're stuck. And we don't want to be stuck. We want to keep moving forward. We want to keep loving. We want to keep loving like from the place that we're meant to love from, not the brokenness. It's easy to stay stuck. It's easy to stay broken. The famous saying, hurt people, right? So if we're not healing our own hurt, we're going to be part of the problem instead of part of the solution. And that's really what this podcast is all about. Finding the solutions to help heal yourselves through the trauma that has happened in all of our lives by positive affirmations, by focusing in on healing and meditation and, unsticking yourself. Stop being stuck, right? You have the power. The power is within you. There's been times where I felt stuck, but I realized that it was the way that I was thinking. And so here's an example. When I was, younger and I was raised by my parents who were not stable, right? They just were, their marriage was on the rocks all the time. Their emotions were on the rocks all the time. They were coming from bad places. They stayed in bad places. They loved each other deep. So I learned a lot about love through the way that they loved each other and the way they stuck by each other's side. But everything else was traumatic, right? I thought I was going to be in this traumatic thought process for the rest of my life because of how I was raised, until I realized that just because I was raised by hurt people didn't mean that I needed to stay in that same toxic pattern. We have the ability to take ourselves out and observe from afar while we heal from the inside, creating boundaries for ourselves and helping ourselves grow stronger and stronger by choices that we're making. We don't have to be the exact reflection of what our parents taught us. A lot of times the way that we respond in society, the way that we respond in our marriages and our friendships is based off of what we understand and how we see things based off of what we were taught. But if you could separate yourself from how you were taught and kind of step into the power of educating yourself, learning more about what right looks like, what wrong looks like, removing yourself from the society pressures and saying, okay, society says that we have to all look the same way or we are oddballs. I like being an oddball. I'm just going to tell you, I don't mind being the oddball out, because if that means that I have a different perspective, then number one, I'm going to always respect different perspectives, because that's how I learn, right? By watching and hearing and listening to other people's perspectives so that I can define my own perspective. So I think it's really important in progress and moving forward is recognizing that your voice is just as important, just as powerful as the person standing next to you, no matter how strong-willed, how strong-minded they are. Nobody's above you. We may be ahead of you, but we are never above you, right? You may be ahead of me, but you are never above me. You don't have the right to talk down to me because you know more. It is your obligation as a teacher, when you know more, is to teach the people that don't know as much as you, right? So I take that very seriously. I take my responsibility of learning what I've learned to teach people what I've learned so that you can then learn and you can teach people. The more we learn, the more we teach each other, the more powerful we are as a society, and the more we grow as a society. The more our children grow, because we want to bring children in the world. We want to teach them what we've learned, not what we were taught, right? Because our parents never really, and some of our parents did, so I can't speak for everybody's parents. My parents never really took the time to figure out what right looked like. They just stayed in the trauma. And I never wanted to do that. I loved hard from the moment I came out of my mom's womb, and I continue to love hard. And not only did I love everybody hard for all these years, I've now learned to love myself hard. I've now learned to stand next to the fire and pull people out of the fire instead of being in the fire, making excuses for my behavior. I've decided that it is time for me to step out of the fire, to break the cycles, to break ancestral curses, to break all of that, and to stand in my truth, because I know I'm always coming from a good place, and there's no one on this earth that can tell me that I'm not coming from a good place, because I know I am, and so does God. And I stand in my faith, and I stand in my heart, and I stand in my spirit, and I stand here today telling you guys that I will never ever ask you to be anything that you're not. I will encourage you to be the best version of who you are. We are here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. We are here to find truth for ourselves. And this is my truth. Sometimes, there are seasons in waiting where, we're in prayer and we're stuck, right? Our finances are broken and we don't know how we're going to get out of it. We're panicked. We're staying focused on the panic of the finances instead of the acknowledgement of how grateful we are for what we have. We look at the problem and we stay in the problem and we dwell on the problem and we feel the weight and the heaviness of the problem, which then turns around into depression, and it causes, cycles in yourself and burdens in yourself that never end, because you're always focused in on all the things that are causing the problem instead of finding a solution, instead of being grateful in the moments, instead of trusting God that we are getting where we're going, because this is a part of our path. It's a part of our journey. One of the messages in the Bible that sticks out to me always says, "Do I not feed the birds?" That's a powerful verse in the Bible. What God is saying in that verse to me is that if He's not going to let you suffer if you turn to Him and ask Him, He's going to feed you. If He feeds the birds, He's going to feed you. Are you not more grand than the birds? Of course you are. So, faith, intuition is of the utmost importance. I tell God on a daily basis, I trust you, God. I trust you, Lord. Even when things don't always look great, I still say I trust you, Lord. But it's hard to say I trust you, Lord, and then turn around and pick it back up, right? It's hard not to. It's hard not to say I trust you, Lord, and then try to somehow control the scenario. When you do that, when you're playing football with yourself, you're dropping the ball, you're picking the ball up, then it's a losing game, right? Because you're competing against you. And when you're competing against yourself, then you're never going to win because you're in this insanity. You're staying stuck in this insanity that is like this vicious cycle that just never ends, and it's the constant tug of war. It's the constant back and forth, and you're playing with yourself, right? Like, you're playing with yourself. It is in my belief that everything is in divine timing versus human timing, right? If it were up to me, I would be a millionaire sitting in Spain or Italy every other week, sipping on my coffee or wine, chilling, looking over the Mediterranean Sea. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it were up to me. I do work to build my business. I have a business, an interior design business. I've been in interior design for 26 years. And it's something that I absolutely love. Sometimes it's like skyrockets in flight and chilling and hanging out and you're like, yeah, I got business all day. And then sometimes business comes to a screeching halt. And so then you look at yourself. You're like, is it my marketing? Is it this? Is it that? You know, business to me should be busy all the time if you're doing something right. So I'm constantly questioning, am I doing something right? Because my business is never busy all the time. But that's also what we do with ourselves, right? Am I ever going to get over this? Yeah, you are, once you decide that you're going to get over it. Once you decide to let go and let God. Once you decide that this is divine timing, not my timing. I'm here for a purpose and a reason, and I'm here to build what I'm meant to build. And if I'm not sure what I'm meant to build, then it's for me to go into meditation or to pray or to walk in nature or whatever makes you feel connected to spirit to figure out what that looks like for you. And if you're not sure, to ask the question to God, is this the way? And He will always give you an answer. I promise you. He always shows up. He will never fail. So, hardship refines us, right? It teaches us resilience. It teaches us discernment, and it teaches us clarity in certain circumstances. It gives us wisdom. You know, going through the fire, you start to learn how to not get burned. You start to learn how to walk around instead of walk through. You know, losing my mom in May of this year on the 23rd, she was the closest person that I had my entire life that I was close to. And she had been struggling with cancer for 24 years. And the cancer finally won. It was the hardest thing to watch my mom go through. Knowing that nothing I did was going to solve the problem. I was helpless in this, so I had to rely on God. I had to rely on others for prayer. I had to rely on the teaching of the Bible and God and how He teaches us to be still and know that I am God. I had to rely on that understanding. You know, I'm a very, very spiritual person. I am not a religious person. I will always quote God because I believe in God. I will always talk about Jesus because I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Spirit. I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I don't believe in man-made rules. I don't believe in man-made interpretations. I have one of my best friends in the world's son is a pastor, and I love her, and I love her husband, and I love that her son is preaching the good word, and he's got a huge congregation and is doing really well because he's speaking truth. And that's amazing to me. And it's wonderful to be surrounded by people who love and support you and who are there. But I find it hard in a church setting personally that there's a lot of hypocrisy, you know? But it's not for me to go into that environment and judge, right? Which is why I stay out of that environment, because I'm really prone to judge in that environment and be like, who you think you are? Well, I'm over here doing the same thing, right? So it's best for me to just be spiritual so that I can just tap into the Spirit with God and know that He is my my guide, and trust that. You know, wisdom comes from faith. Wisdom comes from truth. Wisdom comes from grounding yourself through hard times. Wisdom comes from picking yourself up. Every single one of us have had to fall, and every single one of us had to get up. That's why we're here, right? There's not one person I've ever talked to in this world who have said, I've never gone through any hard times. And if they did say that, I would know straight up that they were not being fully honest. There's something hidden in the darkness there. And that's okay if you want to walk around and pretend that your life has been this perfect path. But I've never met a perfect person in my life. And now if you have, please introduce them to me, because I would love to meet them. Because I think the only perfect person that ever walked this earth was Jesus himself. So, sometimes the fire isn't punished. Let's talk about that for a second. Sometimes we look at when we fall down and we realize, oh my gosh, like my car just broke down. Or here's an example. We had just bought a brand new car. We had it for 6 months. We were driving to Gainesville to the butterfly garden, and we came to a 4-way stop. The light turned green. We went through, and someone was on their cell phone and decided that they weren't paying attention and hit us full on and totaled our car. At that very time, we were scraping by. We had a new car, and now we have no car. So here we are. We have no car. We have no money to get another car. I was praying for my business. This is right when my business started at 26 years ago. And I'm like, Lord, I need $10,000. I need $10,000 in order for me to be able to get through this moment. Like, I have these bills. I don't have a car. I need to buy a car. I can't live without a car right now. And out of the blue, I had advertised my business 2 years prior to me praying about this, right? And nothing. Crickets. So I'm on my knees. I'm praying to the Lord, like, please, Lord, I need you. I need your help. I need this much money. I get a phone call out of the blue. Now, we lived in a community, a gated community, and we lived in Palm Coast, Florida, and Palm Coast is pretty large, right? There's a bunch of different neighborhoods all over the place. I get a phone call from someone in my neighborhood who lived in Rochester, New York, and bought a condo in my neighborhood, who was going to be here for 3 days, and who was going to be needing a designer to design while they were no longer here. And I was like, okay, like, well, what kind of design are you looking for? They're like coastal. They didn't give me a lot of information. So I was like, okay, I need to make this perfect. This is everything. I go and I put 3 designs together. I find out the square footage of their place through the community. I found out how many windows they had, because they mentioned they wanted plantation shutters. They show up. I have all of this information. I have the floor plan. I have 3 designs. I have pricing for plantation shutters, pricing for painting, pricing for flooring, like level 1, 2, and 3. And they were so impressed with me that I walked out of there that day with a check for $20,000. I asked God for $10,000, and I got a check for $20,000. I had to walk there. Thank God it was in my neighborhood, right? So I'm walking home, and my husband's walking out of our place towards me, and I just looked like I was disappointed, like I didn't get the job. And he just walks up to me to hug me, and I pulled the check out from behind me, and I put it up in front of him. And we both started crying, right? God shows up all the time, right? This is just one story that I've had of God showing up. I was in one of the hardest parts of my life. Then my car was it made it even worse, right? Financially, I was broke. Now my car, I don't have one. And God didn't just replace, He replaced times two. I was able to buy a car. And from that moment forward, I continued to pray. And my business went on for 21 years until we moved and I had to reestablish. That's a whole nother story. But without fail, it's cleaning up the mess so that we can step into what's coming. And we're always going to make mistakes. None of us are perfect. We're always going to make mistakes. But it's how you get up. It's how you show up. It's how you think. It's how you move. And it's how you trust with things will go forward and what that looks like for you. We are surrounded by energy. We are energy. So what you think in your subconscious and your conscious, you're pulling in what you think and what you feel. You're creating the world around you. You're creating the guy that comes up to you who is toxic because you haven't let go of your toxic traits from your parents or your last husband. And you keep wondering why the same guy keeps showing up. It's because you haven't done the work to clear your energy of all the negative toxicity from your past in order to be able to move into a healthier space in your future. That comes when you change. It doesn't come until you change. So let's look at some tools, 3 main tools to use in order to be able to move forward. Let go of what was and invite in one new habit, thought, or action. Okay? So you let go of what was. I let go of lack. And I started thinking, I'm abundant. Instead of thinking I don't have anything, I started thinking I have everything. I started waking up in the morning and being grateful, even when I didn't feel grateful. Seriously, did not feel grateful. I'm like, I don't feel grateful about anything today. In fact, yeah, I could start my day like that. Or I could be like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for giving me another day to be grateful, another chance to move forward, another opportunity to be the best version of myself. Thank you, God, for my husband of 26 years. Thank you, God, for my 24-year-old son who's in the Navy serving our country, and he's healthy and happy. Thank you for my best friends. Thank you for the people that you continuously surround me with and the finances you continuously provide me with. These are ways of letting go of what was and stepping into something new. Meditating, inviting God in, surrounding yourself with white light and peace. Sometimes we need to step into the stillness and truly see what you aren't seeing. So meditation is perfect for that, because with meditation, you're in stillness. And when you first start meditation, when you're used to stinking thinking, your mind's always going a million miles an hour, you're going to realize how bad your mind is going a million miles an hour. It's an opportunity for you to be able to hear your thoughts and recognize what your thoughts are, and recognize that you can tune into your thoughts, and that will help you control your thoughts and replace your negative thoughts with positive thoughts. So it's a little something like this. I'm not in a good mood today. Versus, okay, I'm thinking that I'm not in a good mood today. I'm in a great mood today. Even if you don't believe yourself, say it in the mirror. I'm in a great mood today. Give yourself a fist pump in the mirror. I'm in a great mood today. We're going to have a good day. Tell yourself, we're having a good day. Today is starting as a good day, even though it doesn't feel like a good day. And just that alone, that positive affirmation alone, is going to help you step into a more enlightened space. Now, it's not easy going from that negative mindset into your positive mindset. You're going to fail. But just because you failed doesn't mean you should just give up and go back to your stinking thinking. It means that you get up, you brush yourself off, and you try again. And you move into a better thought process again. Try it until you keep doing it until it becomes a habit. Celebrate the small moments. Celebrate the shift. Be grateful that you're aware and you're transitioning. Ask God to send you people who speak wisdom to you. Ask God to send you dreams. Ask God to send you messages, signs. He will. I promise you, He will. He always does. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's the number one thing. And encourage yourself. Journal. Write in your journal, what am I still holding on to that God is asking me to release? What am I still holding on to that I know I need to let go? What kind of thoughts am I thinking? Ask yourself tough questions and be honest with yourself, even if you're embarrassed, even though you're looking at it. Sometimes we're like, our ego is so big that we're like, I'm not writing that because that's just too much truth for me. If you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anybody. You have to be honest with yourself in order to be honest with everyone. Be okay in your truth. Nobody has it all together, even the ones that pretend to. Let me repeat that. Nobody has it all together, even the ones that pretend to. Excuse the beeping, it's my dog in the background. Yeah, she likes to bark a lot. So, okay, back to the show. Encourage yourself to step in abundance. And I don't mean just money or success. I mean alignment, peace, and preparation for stability. Okay? Encourage yourself for a season of abundance. If you need money, if you need peace, if you need preparation for stability, then start taking the steps and move in the direction in order for you to be able to surprise yourself. Love yourself. Start with smacking yourself 5 or fist pumping yourself in the mirror and saying, I got you. I got you, girl, guy. I got you. And believe it. Look at yourself in the eye. So many times we get ourselves ready in the mirror and we're not even actually looking at ourselves. We're looking at the reflection. We're judging the reflection. We're wishing the reflection looked better. Or we're so big-headed that we think we look so fine, so good. Well, let me tell you, so fine, so good. That's eventually going to turn, and eventually you're going to have the thoughts of, okay, well, this young soul is now looking old. Now I've got wrinkles. Now I've got gray hair. Now my jawline is sagging. This happens. This is called age, and we all get older. It's not about beauty on the outside. It's about beauty on the inside. And don't get me wrong, I'm just as vain as the next one. I like looking good. I like feeling good. And there's nothing better than taking care of yourself, being healthy, and being happy from the inside out, looking in the mirror and liking your reflection. So take all the time you need in order to make yourself feel good about yourself, because it is important. It's just as important as eating healthy. It's just as important as feeling good, being emotionally stable, working through the trauma. You're no better than the next. I'm no better than the next. We're no better than the next as a collective. We together will rise. We have to make a decision, and we have to recognize that we are a union. We are on this earth together. We should support and love each other. Lift each other up. Be the woman that compliments another woman with sincerity. Don't be jealous. Jealousy isn't going to get you anywhere. It's just more stinking thinking. The only reason that you're jealous is because you don't feel good enough on the inside about yourself. So you end up tearing other people down in order to make yourself feel better. That is no way to live. That is no way to be. So if you're doing that, you have a lot of healing on the inside to get through. And my advice to you is to start as soon as possible, because we need to walk in this earth together. You are not walking through this fire alone. And you're also not walking through this fire in vain. There is purpose in your pain, and you are closer to your breakthrough than you realize. Once you start doing the steps, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be the best thing you can ever do for yourself. I promise you. I am a work in progress. I am working every day, all day. I am the woman that says I will never stop learning, and I mean that from the sincerest part of myself. So with that, thank you for being here. Remember to write down and share your reflections, and with yourself, with your best friend. Like, write down where you are. If you need someone supportive, you can always email me at rootedinsoul2, the number 2, at Gmail. I will give you some great advice, is the best that I can. Cycles that you're breaking are going to take time. Be patient with yourself. Offer yourself grace and love. Our next episode that we're going to be talking about building emotional security while waiting for financial stability. So when we can get into a space of emotional stability, we'll stop overspending, and things like that. So definitely make sure you come back with and keep listening, because we're going to have some guest speakers on here eventually. And right now we're just kind of building this podcast. So thank you for listening, and thank you for your support. You guys are great. No matter where you are right now, just remember, don't beat yourself up. Stay focused on the goal, and that is to be the best version of yourself. It's okay if you mess up. I love you guys. I thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time. Thanks.